It's been nearly 20 years since a group of terrorists carried out the worst attack on U.S. soil, and the impacts of 9/11 can still be felt today. Thousands of people in New York City were exposed to toxic substances when the Twin Towers collapsed, and many have gone on to develop illnesses linked to the attack. The 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund aims to help those impacted receive aid that they need, but the deadline to register for the program is quickly approaching. So for more on this, we want to bring in Luis Alvarez. He's the 9/11 Outreach Education Director for the law firm Hansen Rosasco. Listen, people may also or may not know that you are also the brother of Luis Alvarez. If you don't know his name, you certainly remember him. He was a first responder that passed away from complications of cancer linked to his work at Ground Zero. And he passed away after delivering an appeal to the House Judiciary Committee to replenish the September 11th Victims Fund. I will never forget his eyes, to tell you the truth. It was clear that he was very ill, that he was using all the strength he had to make this appeal, that the appeal for more money most likely would not be helping him directly. But the vividness of those blue eyes staring at those lawmakers, I will never forget it, and it worked. So where does the Victim Fund stand now?
Well, thanks for having me this morning. I appreciate your kind words about my brother. It was important for him, for other people, for the things that he wanted to do and make sure that they were covered. The Victims Compensation Fund, thanks to him and so many other warriors that fought for the bill to be passed, is open through 2090. However, July 29, 2021, this Thursday, there is a very important deadline coming up. And it's for folks that have been certified with the 9/11 illness or unfortunately have lost a loved one before 2019, before the bill was passed. When the bill was passed, they opened up a 2-year window, which was very gracious of the Victims Compensation Fund, to go back and to give an opportunity for anybody who had a 9/11 certified condition to file a claim with the Victims Compensation Fund. Also, they allowed families who had missed a 2-year deadline, who had lost a loved one, to file with the Victims Compensation Fund. That 2-year window closes this Thursday. So we're trying here at Hansen and Rosasco to get out. We represent thousands and thousands of 9/11 victims, and there's not a day that goes by that we don't get a call that one of the victims has passed away. We're trying to reach out to families, those that are certified and have not filed the claim, to get that claim started, get the claim registered by this Thursday. Mm-hmm. The worst thing we can possibly do is tell a family or victims suffering from cancer, like my brother was, that we can't do anything for them.
Right. So it's been 20 years. You know, somebody may have gotten ill, or they may have been ill before and didn't even know it, but they may realize that they're ill maybe in the last few years. They may not connect it to 9/11. Just what's the criteria to determine that the illness that you have is connected to exposure to whatever was happening down there at Ground Zero?
Well, there are many cancers, close to 70 types of cancers. I think the last number was 68 that are covered by the Victims Compensation Fund for compensation. Also, there's many respiratory and gastrointestinal illnesses that are related to the exposure on 9/11 for the 8 months following. If you were south of Canal Street, you're entitled to compensation. South of Houston Street, you're entitled to medical help. So if you have a suspicion or an illness that you think may have been caused, we strongly urge everybody to sign up with the World Trade Center Health Program and file their claim with the Victims Compensation Fund.
So, a lot of people may think of this as strictly a New York thing. And when I was reading about it, I was reminded that people came from all over the country and probably from other parts of the world to help. So are there particular groups of people that you think may be missing out on this because they just don't think that they qualify because maybe, they're not in New York?
Thanks for bringing that up. There's many misnomers about coverage from the federal government for 9/11. Personally, I've handled over 25, 30 Pentagon police officers that responded to the Pentagon when they were hit. The biggest group is non-first responders, people south of Canal Street that worked, lived, went to school there, that for 9/11 and the 8 months following were breathing in these toxic substances. They sometimes feel that because they're not a first responder, they're not entitled to compensation, they're not entitled to health coverage. And we try to get the message out to them. There's been some calculations that about 8% of the people that are eligible to sign up have signed up. There's a large community of people that may have gotten sick that don't realize that they can be covered by the Victims' Compensation Fund. Also, families of many people that have died from different cancers. It's a presumption if you were down there and you get one of the covered cancers that you will be covered by the World Trade Center Health Program, the Victims' Compensation Fund.
All right, Phil Alvarez, thank you so much for getting the message out. There's only a few days left, and so I hope that that this message reaches the ears of someone that it's going to make a difference, perhaps a life-saving difference. Phil, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.